And what's up, Buff fans? Troy and I are back. It has been a minute since we last talked, but Troy and I have been doing spring ball, kind of wrapping things up. How have you been doing on your end? You played golf recently. How did that
Yeah.
go? First game out this season?
Yeah, I've played two nines and I'm trying to get the feel back. It's going okay. You gotta be clicking by the summer.
Yeah, I'm playing with my dad on Mondays, and I think we're gonna play 18.
Nice.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun, especially when I play with my dad. Like he's dad, and he's like, nope. He's like, give me the club. You're not doing it right. I'm like, I know I'm not doing it right. But yeah, the weather's nice, starting to get warm out, and yeah, the spring game is very close. It's in a couple weeks, 3 weeks actually, kind of. They're 2.5 weeks. I'm looking at my
Yeah.
calendar that I made, but hopefully there won't be any snow. But knowing Colorado, we don't know. But yeah, Lil Wayne is performing after the game,
At the
and
talent show.
yeah, a talent show. I'm wondering if we can get like inside and like cover that to like any extent. Yeah, over 18,000 tickets have been sold for the spring game per Brian Howell, and yeah, I feel like I wonder if it's going to be a sellout, but I think the way that maybe things are going, it will be. But it's definitely going to be an exciting event. But before we get into that, there's still more football things that are going on today. Yahya Attia, nicknamed the Bulldozer, committed to Colorado. He was born in Egypt and is from Austria, and he plays for the NFL Academy, similar to Kofi Taylor Barracks, who's a linebacker for the Buffs. He also played for the NFL Academy, but he's an offensive lineman. I think with the nickname Bulldozer, very fitting for a lineman position, and looks pretty good at 6'4", 330 pounds. And I think the connection happened there. Steve Hagan, he was a longtime NFL and college coach, and he worked with Pat Shermer at the Cleveland Browns, and then Hagan was the tight ends coach with the Cleveland Browns. So there's some connections there, and Hagan probably reached out to Shermer and was like, hey, we got this. I know you guys are looking for linemen, so we found this guy. And interested to see how he integrates within the program. I feel like with Kofi, we never really saw much of him, but I mean, at 6'4", 330 pounds, like good at the center there, get low, or even we'll see where he lands on the line, or how he integrates with the Buffs. But I think something too, I think just like pivot into spring ball, and something that we continually talked about, especially yesterday, is just the progress of the offensive line, the chemistry there, and just the progress we're seeing, and just building better protection for Shador. It's something that we heard from Dylan Edwards yesterday. Just something that was different from last year was the chemistry across the offensive line. I think that's something that we keep hearing from Shador. Like there is like a family unit there, and we can't really see for ourselves how good the pass pro is, except the videos that well off produces and stuff and scrimmaging. But we can take their word for it, and there is a solid unit being built there, which of course is one of the big issues of last season, amongst the offensive line. So that's good to see there. And I think last time we talked was March 28th. So that was like during spring break. We talked to the linebackers, talked to the running backs, and yeah, I just want to hear some of your takeaways, and what you've been seeing and hearing this spring ball.
Yeah, Yaya's a big dude. I don't know much about him. That news just kind of dropped right before we started recording here. So I'm excited to dig into him a little bit later. And you're right about the offensive line. There's been not too forward of like remarks about how eager everyone is about the new offensive line. But Dylan Edwards talked about it yesterday. Flea Harrell mentioned it as well, the running backs coach. He said that the offensive line should be much improved. Dylan Edwards talked about the continuity that they have, that he felt like was better. He feels like they're a closer knit group um, than they were last year. I did think that the running backs, that talking to Flea Harrell and a couple of the running backs yesterday was we got some really revealing stuff. Dylan Edwards talked about how he's not only playing running back, but he's playing some receiver. So I'm curious to see how he kind of fits in. Obviously, it's a crowded running back room with Dylan Edwards, with Alton McCaskill, who Flea Harrell said should be on track to be healthy, um, fully healthy by the fall. Um, and yeah, Micah Welch is been really impressive according to Flea Harrell. He's really happy with his downhill kind of running style. Micah Welch is a big dude. He's a
Yeah,
thick
he's
built dude. Yeah.
dense. Yeah, he's definitely,
Really
you look at him and
stocky
like a
guy.
downhill guy.
Yeah, so that'll give them a good option between the tackles, I think. That's one thing that Dylan Edwards kind of mentioned too, that was a big talking point last year, was a lot of people were kind of like, why are we running 170-pound Dylan Edwards between the tackles all the time? And Dylan Edwards kind of said, hey, I'm not going to be doing that as much anymore. I can, but I'm not, that's not, it's not where his skill set is best
Yeah.
utilized. And now they still have Sivion Wilkerson, and now they have Micah Welch that can kind of handle that. The big thing that I really enjoyed hearing from, especially from Flea Harrell, and Dylan talked about this a little bit too, was the scheme last year with Sean Lewis. It was a lot of RPOs. So Shadur Sanders is making a lot of decisions post snap with the football, whether to hand it off, whether to keep it, whether to throw it. And they kind of talked yesterday about how they felt like that really hurt the running game. It hurt the productivity. The running game was not very scheme versatile because of that, and it doesn't allow the backs to get into a rhythm. And this year they said that Pat Shurmur there's going to be a lot more designed runs, which I think is a very good thing. Flea Harrell said that, there will be times on 3rd and short where we're just going to come out and run the ball, and they didn't really ever do that last year. So I thought those were some really encouraging signs, especially from yesterday, talking to the backs. What about you?
Yeah, I think just on a similar note there, just, something that I asked and that I think we were all asking in the off season is just like, what is this committal to the run game, actually going to look like? And I think it's a personnel base, at least for Dylan Edwards, because you see a player come out of TCU, you see him in the pass game, you see him in the run game, just utilizing his speed in a really fabulous way. And when we were talking to Coach Flea, he said, having Pat Sherman as the coordinator, I think we have a better plan for Edwards specifically. And when you have a player, of his versatility that can, work in the pass game and can really turn on the jets, potentially run in between tackles or just, maneuver around the box effectively, that's going to be a player you want to use correctly and not not as we saw last year, just more of a dwindling presence of someone who is so productive. It was his freshman year, but that game really put him on like a really high pedestal of someone that can carry this offense. And of course, there was protection problems there and stuff like that. But I'm really excited to see this year 2 Dylan Edwards. And he talked about how he joined the track team, and with being with the track team, he kind of learned how he's running, correcting where his body's positioned, and seems like it helped him out a lot, even just creating more speed there, and also
Make it
just
even faster.
yeah, even faster. I was when we were there yesterday, they played those replays on the screen, and I was
The same
watching,
ones that they have
yeah,
been
the
playing
one
from the
all the
TCU
time.
game the
I
whole
was paying
year.
more attention than usual, and we talked to Dylan
I
later.
noticed that
I
actually.
saw, that play when he ran out to the right. Shador threw it to him, and he like beat two he beat 2 tackles and just left guys in the dust, and he like went into the end zone with the peace sign. Like, that's ultimately what we want to be seeing next year out of him. And I think he's just gonna be that guy. Like, he doesn't identify as a running back, but of all the running backs in the running back room, like, he just seems like, at least as of now, the most certain guy to really move the ball in an effective way. And just having another year under his belt, there's experience there. Yeah, Michael Welch, we've been hearing a lot from him. Just like seeing videos of him and just breaking tackles, and him and Shiloh kind of getting
Yeah, he
into
and
it
Charlotte
and
been going at it.
making each other better players there. So yeah, I think I agree. Like, I feel like yesterday was when it like kind of journalistically turned on for me. Like, we got the most, I think, information out of that day, and how this running room is really going to look like. I mean, we'll see what, in the spring game, just a little bit more contextually what that looks like. We haven't been able to go into practice yet, but yeah, just interested to see, like, the storyline with Alton McCaskill. It's like this ACL, like, knee injury has really been, difficult. Like, he is practicing with the team, but there's still some wariness with the coaches in terms of his, like, full ability. And I think it's just a matter of maybe just shaking off the rust there and getting some game reps, and, adding more to his resume that he built his freshman year at Houston. Cause he still, there's potential to still be that guy. It's just a matter of, Shermer and, um, Coach Flea using him, in the right areas at the right time. So yeah, I think just a lot of kind of mirroring what you said there. And I mean, last year too, it's like a lot what we talked about was like how versatile the running back room was, and like the expectations we had. And I think those were met, within the games that they were winning. But, it's going to be a primarily, passing attack once again with Shador and the weapons that he has at wide receiver. And Edwards is going to be there too. So I'm interested to see just, how Pat Shermer really constructs this offense, and just utilizing like a lot of really good pieces, together. Like LaJohntay Wester is going to be interesting. Like, I'm interested to, talk more with, I guess we did talk to the wide receivers, so we might not be getting them again, but yeah, a lot of weapons on offense. I think on the defensive side, we talked with Trevor Woods and Levante Bentley. Going to be likely starters going into next year. They're definitely running with first team defense. So, we all know Trevor Woods as, the safety, the guy who ended the game against CSU. Like, he's had a lot of fun moments playing that position, and now he's pretty solidified at the linebacker position. And the safeties room is pretty stacked as well, but they did lose Miles Slusher. He entered the portal, I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. So he's looking for another option. And yeah, I think maybe Carter Stoutmeyer is really making a stride there. And, just some maybe more potential with other guys, and maybe wasn't just the right fit for Miles Slusher. So he's now looking for something else. I mean, they have Cameron, they have Shiloh, and Jaden Milner-Jones too. I think he's one that definitely flies under the radar, but he had he made a handful of plays last year too. So some movement there, the safeties position. And I think we're going to definitely see more movement come post spring. Definitely not as much as we saw last year, but, definitely some shuffling of some positions, maybe eyes on guys that are still in the portal but haven't been picked up yet. So, and more commitments on the way too from the young guys. So, yeah, I mean, we got a little bit, I think, to like the linebackers room. Like, Coach Prime said that that was one position that they wanted to go and find another guy for. So maybe someone there. But when we were talking to, Levante and Trevor and Coach Andre Hart, like, they are looking for someone, but I think their main focus right now is just developing what they have so far. And if someone does come along, that they see fit for that position, then they'll bring them on. But yeah, it's been pretty, like, every day we kind of learn a little bit more. We're going to go back to Boulder tomorrow. I kind of forgot who they're talking to, but um, yeah, it's same, spring ball, learning more. I'm just kind of rambling at this point and just kind of going through the
Yeah, it
book.
was I wish that we kind of got, it was kind of unfortunate that we didn't get to see a healthier version of Miles Slusher, because I thought he was really promising last year before he kind of got banged up, tried to come back towards the end of the year. Never really looked like himself. But you mentioned Stoutmeyer. It must mean that he and Herman Smith are really leaving an impression at that safety spot. Jaden Milner-Jones, you mentioned, Cameron Silman-Craig, although those two kind of worked more in at that star spot, that fifth DB spot. But we'll see what that looks like under Robert Livingston and who ends up in that spot alongside Shiloh Sanders on the back end. Um, yeah, it was interesting to hear that from Trevor Woods that he is primarily going to be at linebacker. He did say that they have kind of told him to know every spot, but he was optimistic that the game reps last year kind of would help him hit the ground running um this year. And Andre Hart too talked about Jalen Wester, LaJonte's brother, who is behind Levante Bentley and Trevor Woods on the depth chart right now, but he says that he's picking stuff up pretty quickly and could compete for one of those spots. And then we know that they're still looking um, for more help at linebacker in the portal, which they weren't really shy about and still are not. So that room, I think, is not finalized by any means. So we'll see what that looks like coming out of the spring game and headed into the summer.
Yeah. See how that all shakes out. Xavier Weaver also had his pro day while we were gone. He ran a 4.42, and yeah, he's definitely gonna get some NFL attention. I remember he mentioned a handful of teams. I don't know off the top of my head, but Chiefs, Eagles, a lot of teams that have reached out to him and expressed interest in his talent. I think he could be, a really good piece at the next level. Maybe we'll see if that rookie season really comes about, and hope to see him come off of the draft boards because he is the prominent guy amongst the Buffs room. He went to the combine. There's just a lot of potential there for him to make a roster. So excited for him. And what's next? For tomorrow, we're talking to Kevin Mathis, the cornerbacks coach. So another interesting position, of course, Travis Hunter and Kermani McLean. So we'll get some more information on how they're doing. But we all know that Travis is always going to be Travis, and he's just going to be so good at both positions. Yeah, I think we maybe pivot to hoops a little bit. It's my last time we talked about the tournament runs that the Buffs were going on. I mean, the women lost a tough one against Iowa in that rematch. Iowa, of course, went on to the national championship, and South Carolina just beats everyone. They're the UConn of the women's side, and vice versa. There, I mean, UConn too. Oh my God, they're they're going back to back is a really rare feat. I think the last time it happened was Florida in 2016.
06, 07, I
Okay.
think.
Thanks.
Florida.
Thanks, Troy. So yeah, a lot of good hoops along the way. I mean, the way that they shut down. I mean, Edu was carrying that team, but no one else could really really make a play around, a whole squad that was, moving and getting buckets. And when you have everyone involved like that, the way that UConn does it, especially, Purdue didn't really have a chance. But I thought that on the women's side, it was much more exciting. The women's had more viewers than the men's, 18.9 million, and the men's had 14.8 million viewers. So a lot of growth on the women's side, which is exciting. But yeah, in terms of just the Buffs and where they are, Tad, looking for some new resources there. Any information on maybe some guys that Colorado may be pursuing on the men's side at the moment?
Yeah, there's three guys that I mean, they've reached out to a good amount of guys. Most of them are kind of small major guards. We know that they're going to need some scoring punch from somewhere, but they really need help on the wings. And there's two guys in the portal, especially that have some uh, Colorado connections that CU could be interested in. The first one is Cade Tyson from Belmont. I mentioned him on the last pod, I believe, because his brother Hunter Tyson plays for the Nuggets. So if Cade wants to be near his brother, he could come to Colorado. Colorado has reached out to him. He's a 6'7" wing. He shot over 46% from three last year, which would be big for CU. They need scorers, they need wings. Cade Tyson is both of those things. He was scoring in the mid-teens on a per game basis last year. The other one is Trevor Baskin, who's 6'9". He's transferring up from D2 from Colorado Mesa. I know Colorado's on his list. I know Colorado State's on his list. So we'll see how that goes. But he's another kind of big guy who can really shoot it, who would give CU some size and some spacing, which they need especially. And the third guy is Bay Fall, who went to high school in Colorado. His cousin is Asan Jope, who obviously is a CU buff. There was some buzz around him and CU before he ended up with Arkansas, but obviously with Eric Musselman leaving and Coach Cal coming in down there.
Wild.
He's back in the portal. So that's a call that Tad Boyle could make. Obviously, maybe he wants to play with Hassan here. And that would give them some more size. They've got a good amount of size coming back with Hassan and with Bengat back. But adding Bay Fall to the mix, just another talented big, can never hurt, especially going to the Big 12. So those are three guys who I thought were really interesting that all kind of connected back here in some way, that CU could target as they look to kind of rebuild here.
Yeah, and I think they've been, successful picking out either mid-major or small major guys that you've identified, like really bringing them up to the next level and allowing them to actually be like, impactful guys on the floor. Sometimes that does take time in terms of adjustment and just kind of holding the pace of, that Power 5 level. But it's been done before, especially in basketball. I feel like, you see a team like Oakland beat Kentucky. There's
And
these
send Kentucky into this
a huge
whole thing.
spiral.
And they still might
Did
end
you
up
see
with
the
Dan
video
Hurley.
of him walking his dog? I think that
Yeah, I did.
was
Which
that
was
was
kind of, I was like,
that's a definitely out
he
of
was like,
context, no
leave
context
me
college basketball
alone.
moment.
He was like, leave me alone. It felt, obviously I have no insider information on Kentucky, but it felt like that it felt like both sides, it was time for
Yeah,
both
and
sides.
there's connection there with the owner of Tyson and them
Yeah.
Coach Cap and him being friends and just the unlimited amount of funds that Arkansas is gonna have. But
Shout out Dino
um,
Nuggets.
I, honestly, facts. I don't really get those anymore, but they're so good. Do you still eat dino
No,
nuggets? Okay. I wouldn't
childhood
judge,
thing though.
honestly.
Childhood thing.
Yeah, I think, we're just wrapping up here. Like it's pretty chill week so far and kind of the ebbs and flows of spring ball and getting to the spring game here, but so far so good. Maybe we'll get some basketball additions by the time we next talk. Eddie did commit to Syracuse, so he's with the Orange up north now. Um, good fit there, I guess. I don't know. I don't know a lot about Syracuse, but we're hope the best for him and his endeavors. I think he really made his strides at Colorado, so excited for him to make an impact with that squad up in New York. But yeah, any final remarks, Troy? Before I was gonna file my taxes today. I really need to do that.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Yeah,
I've got
what?
nothing. Hit the
Yeah,
horns.
yeah. Imagine us being around the horn. I feel like I would just get kicked out so quick. I'd just be laughing the whole time, like I am now. But yeah, thanks for talking again. I don't know why I thank you. It's your job, but we'll see you guys another time for another installment of C Sports Sport Podcast. Peace.